You're listening to Women's Dream Enlightenment, dream decoding, deep discussions, and spiritual stories of self-discovery to inspire your personal enlightened journey. I'm your host, Megan Mary, founder of Women's Dream Analysis. Let's bring in the light. So today we have Lorree, and she has a nightmare, which we are going to be examining and analyzing. And her title for her nightmare is Uninvited Guests in My Home Causing Severe Harm. I'm going to read you the entirety of the dream, and then we are going to discuss it part by part. I was at home with my husband and our dog. Suddenly, there was a tiny kitten sitting on our windowsill. I picked it up. It was so sweet. Then my husband discovered two more full-grown cats in our bathroom. Our dog, who generally does not like other animals, didn't seem to react. I went into our spare room, and a large dog, like a Doberman but light-colored, was lying down on his side, legs stretched out, sleeping. This all felt very strange to me. Then I see two people go downstairs into our basement. I told my husband I was going to find out what was going on because one of the women looked familiar. He stayed with all of the animals. I went downstairs, and our basement was transformed into a very abstract decorum that had many rooms. More people all around seemed to be gathered at some sort of, it kind of looked like an event space as I saw things. I can't recall what they were, but they were for sale at a desk. There were couches and chairs and lots of rooms. Our basement is not this big, but the space had somehow enlarged and was transformed. I saw a woman I know and trust, and she was happy to see me and was putting on clothes. It looked like she was leaving. It felt very strange and was looking for answers. I also felt a little relieved when I saw her. I remember saying to her, "Okay, I feel better now that I see you are here because I trust you." She agreed, smiled, and then she was gone. There seemed to be some commotion going on near the back of the place, and me and other women were told we needed to go to another room. I don't really recall what happened then. That part is blurry, but I remember it felt like some kind of ritual was happening. Then we were suddenly told we must leave now for our safety. If we stayed, we would be in danger. I had no problem with that, so I was leaving. I walked by a room and two older men were lying down. One said, "I'm not doing very well." The other nodded his head. And then I felt the urgency to keep going, so I did. We all went outside. The two men stayed where they were. Outside, there was some kind of big vehicle where the people were all going. I saw a woman I remembered from my past. We didn't know each other well, but her name came to me instantly. I asked her, "Are you Cheryl?" She said, "Yes, I didn't know you did this kind of thing." I asked her, "What do you mean? Drugs? Cocaine?" She didn't really answer me, but kind of nodded and went into the vehicle, waiting for her. I felt an urgency to go back home and check on my husband. I expected that all along he was safe, and I wanted to tell him what I had discovered. As I was heading to my front door, some people drove up and were heading into the basement. For some reason, there was a new entrance to it, and an older man who seemed inebriated asked me where to enter, and I directed them to the door I had left. Because I was anxious to get home, I didn't want them following me. I came in my front door, and my husband was there. He had no shirt. His face was bloodied. It looked like his left nipple was open raw. His left shoulder had a tendon hanging out attached to his side torso. He was breathing heavy and said, Look what they did to Aries. I turned around, and on the ledge of our front entrance was our dog. His head was alive. He was panting with his toy in his mouth, and the rest of his body was in parts. It was like my husband had brought all his pieces home, but couldn't put him back together. I screamed, no, and then I woke up. That is a fabulous dream record, but not a fabulous dream.
No.
Yes. Yes. So where we're going to start is at the beginning. And I want you to look at each scene first. What's happening in that scene? So you're at home with your husband and your dog, and you see this tiny kitten sitting on your windowsill. And you pick it up, and it is so sweet. So let's talk about the kitten first.
Mm-hmm.
Tell me about the kitten and what it was like, and how it made you, what it made you think of, or how it felt when you saw it.
I guess I was surprised, obviously, that a little kitten was in my house. Now what's coming into me is, in the past I have found a kitten, but not in my house, but outside, actually not far. And that was the cat we had before Aries, and she died tragically because of me accidentally, which is another whole story. But so when I saw it, it was, I don't know, it was sitting in some little like mini tiny bed, and I just picked it up, and I was just like, oh my God, it's so cute. But I was thinking, oh, my dog's not gonna like this because he doesn't like other animals. He's, he gets aggressive and afraid. So yeah, it was just strange, but also like I was drawn to it, I'll say. Yeah.
Okay.
And I remember it was like a little tabby kitten.
Okay.
Yeah. Yeah.
And
think of.
and then suddenly your husband discovers two more cats, but they're full grown in the bathroom.
Yeah.
So take me back to when that happened. Did he say anything? And how were they different from the kitten?
Well, they were full grown. They were kind of, cats kind of rub up against your leg and stuff. They were doing that. And our dog was there, but he wasn't reacting. And I think we just both looked at each other like, what's going on? Where is this? I'm like, look at this kitten. And he, we saw the cat. So we didn't really say a lot. So seeing the kitten, seeing the cat, seeing that dog in the room, and then seeing two people walking downstairs. It happened so fast that my husband and I were just looking at each other like, what's going on? It was that kind of thing. We didn't really say a lot. And then when I recognized one of the women going downstairs, I said, I'm going to go find out what's going on. Cause I think I thought I knew one of them. Yeah.
And is that woman that you saw going down the stairs the same one that you then recognized? No, different. Okay.
Yeah. And I never did see her again.
Okay.
Yeah.
So what I find very significant about that is that the basement, of course, it's everything that is underneath. It's the deep, dark depths of ourselves. And it's the things that we keep in the dark, that we store away, that we don't want necessarily other people to know. And I think the fact that you saw a woman that looked familiar to you, it's essentially part of you, because you're thinking, I know her. Who is that? I'm going to go find out who that is.
Yeah.
And I'm going to go find out what's going on down there. And I do think that the cats and the dogs at the beginning are significant, particularly because of the story that you told about the kitten that you found prior and the feelings that you hold about that. I think that's very important. But also that the full grown cats, I feel like can be representative of something too, but I don't want to say too much at the beginning. And also what I really want to do is honor your association with things. So that's what this is about, is to draw out what it is that you associate with those things, so that I'm not putting my own associations
I
on.
understand. Yeah. So just the way I associate is that our dog, he's 10 years old. He's, he's kind of spoiled, and he's threatened by other animals. So just seeing other animals in my house and thinking, oh my gosh, like this isn't good, but him not reacting.
Right.
And then seeing another, and cats would be one thing, like he would probably want to attack them, but a dog, he would really lose it. So, but that dog was sleeping.
Right. You say
Or
that it
it
was
looked like it was
stretched,
sleeping anyhow.
stretched out, sleeping, lying on
On
his
its
side.
side, yeah.
Right.
On
Which is
some kind of pillow or something, yeah.
which is very much a unassuming, I'm not here to make a problem thing. And your first reaction was, this is going to be a problem.
Yeah.
But it wasn't.
Yes. Yeah.
So I think that's also very significant.
Mm.
Now, when you start to, then you decide to go find that familiar woman in the basement.
Yeah.
But your husband stays with the animals.
Yes.
So this is you now going down into your depths to see that familiar woman. Who is she? I know something's going on. I want your curiosity. I want to go find this out. And you go alone, which I think is important. He stays with the animals, and the animals, you say later, I knew he was safe.
It never crossed my mind that
there
was anything wrong, or he would have left or anything. And in normal circumstances, he would be the person to investigate, not me.
Right. Sure. And that makes perfect sense. So I think you're going down into the basement, taking the initiative to go, and going by yourself means that it really is your basement. It's your thing that you're going to investigate. So you go down into the basement, but it's not your basement. No. And you use the word abstract decorum. Yeah. Let's unpack the abstractness.
Lots of bright colors, like kind of shapes, like just very, just hard lines. And it's don't really remember. I just remember very bold and bright colors, and yeah, that's all I really remember about that part.
Was it a joyful, exciting place?
It was felt kind of weird to me. Like it was like reds and oranges and bright. Like I remember reds and oranges, and I don't remember exactly, but I just remember things looked very like that, that abstract kind of art. Yeah, it was just bright, and not bright in a good way. I don't know. It felt strange. It felt odd, strange, definitely not cozy and warm or
okay, good.
Yeah. Yeah.
Now there's all these people around, and they're gathering for possibly
like just different people coming and going, and it kind of felt like there was an event going on. Like there was, when you go somewhere and there's people coming and going, it felt like that. Yeah. And then I think I remember seeing something where there was, in a store, they have things hanging on like a little thing, swirly thing. I don't remember what that was. I just remember it looked like there was things you could buy, but I don't recall noticing what it was.
Okay.
Yeah.
So then you see this woman that you know.
Yeah.
And that changes how you feel when you see her.
Yes. I felt relief because I know her and I trust her. And so I was like, oh, okay, you're here. And I felt a little bit of like my guard came down a little bit. And I remember saying, okay, well, I know you and I trust you. And then she just kind of nodded and then smiled. And I don't know, I can't remember if we hugged or not, probably. And then she was gone.
If you were going to describe this person that you know in real life with 3 adjectives, what would they be?
She's authentic. She's deep. Like she, does that deep inner work like myself. And she's open to new experiences, let's say.
Okay.
Yeah, adventurous, maybe something like that. Yeah.
Okay. And she's putting on clothes.
Yeah.
What kind of clothes is she putting on?
That's vague.
Okay.
Yeah, maybe some kind of top or shawl, or I'm not sure. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. And
Oh.
it looked like she's leaving.
Yeah. 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 And that's kind of fuzzy. Then she was gone.
Now you say it felt very strange and was looking for answers. You were looking for answers, or she left looking for answers?
No, I
Okay.
was just trying to figure out what's going on here in
Right.
this
Mm-hmm.
house.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Yeah. And then when I
Okay.
saw her, my guard dropped a little bit because I
Mm-hmm.
saw her for whatever reason. I remember saying, okay, well, you're here and I trust you, so I feel better.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
And she didn't say anything. She just smiled and nodded and kind of agreed with me.
Yes.
And then she left. And then I guess she left. She was just gone. Like, I don't remember anything after that.
Mm-hmm. And I feel that the aspects of that woman are the parts of you that you should embrace, the authenticness, the deepness, the open to new experiences, that you're afraid to go into your basement, essentially your metaphorical basement, but you are comforting yourself with what she presents, what she represents, which is part of you. It's the trusting your authenticness, trusting your deepness, feeling more comfortable with being open to new experiences, that she is reassuring you, you are reassuring you. And that she is there to reassure you in the basement. At first, you follow a woman who reminds you of something, perhaps yourself, down there, but then you find this woman and you feel relieved. And that relief is an indication that it's okay to enter that darkness, that it's okay to be authentic and deep and open to new experiences, that you can do that. And she's leaving because she's leaving the basement. She's going on that new journey. And you do too, very shortly, with some urgency, which is a good sign. So next, after she leaves, suddenly someone comes in and tells you that you have to leave now for your own safety. Do you remember
First,
who?
there was and this is where it kind of got vague, is that near the back of the basement or back of the rooms further in, there was something going on and it felt like some kind of ritual, not a good one. But I don't remember what happened. I don't remember the people. The only thing I remember is then I was there, and then all of a sudden it was like I was told that you need to leave now. We were all told, whoever the other people were, because I don't remember that part. We were all told you need to leave now, for your own safety, and if you stay, it could be a danger. I forget, however I put that with you.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
you would be in danger.
you'd be in danger if you stayed, and it was just like, get out, like, you guys, you got to go now.
But they were staying.
Um,
Or
Well,
was it?
everyone, whoever was there, but I don't know who they were, and I just
Mm-hmm,
don't, yeah, that part wasn't told of who was
mm-hmm,
said that or anything.
mm-hmm, mm-hmm,
I just know that it was me and other people who were all there too,
mm-hmm.
all told that we need to go.
So how did it feel to be in that place when you found the other people doing what you described as a ritual?
That's where it got really fuzzy.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it just
And
didn't feel, I think I kind of felt like I was going along with it
okay.
at first just to find out what was happening.
Mm-hmm.
And then it got blurry and I don't remember. And then it was all of a sudden, you need to go.
Okay.
Yeah. So that's the part that really isn't clear and never was
Mm-hmm.
from the beginning.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Okay. So next, you start to leave, but
Yes.
you walk by another room where you see two older men
Mhm.
and they're lying down. And one says, I am not doing very well. And the other nods. And then
Yeah.
you felt even more urgency to keep going. So you did.
Yeah, the man on the right said I'm not doing well, and then the other guy, he was more sitting up but still down on the ground, and he was like just nodded, and I was like, okay, I gotta go.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know how to help them or what's going on here, and so then I just left.
Mm-hmm. And you all go outside,
Yes.
you and some other people,
Yeah, whoever, yeah.
not the two men, though. They stayed
No,
there.
they stayed. Yeah. Yeah, they stayed.
And I feel that the two men stayed down there because, as you alluded to, that possibly they were part of the ritual, but I feel just in general that they are overtaken by the basement.
Yeah, it felt like they didn't have enough energy to leave. Like they couldn't,
Yes,
yeah. So I was just like, I can't save you, I gotta go, kind of thing.
right. They're not doing well. Yes,
They're not, yeah, and it's like, yeah, okay, well, I gotta go,
with what's in the
Yeah,
basement, and you're feeling very urgent, like I need to get out of here for my own good,
yeah, yeah.
and I'm not going to stay and end up like them.
And rescue anybody. Yeah,
Right.
yeah, yeah,
Now, outside, there was a big vehicle where all the people were going.
yeah, yeah. And it wasn't like a ton of people, it was like maybe less than 10 or something.
Okay.
It wasn't tons and tons of people or anything. But yeah.
So, if I didn't know, what would you say a vehicle like that is for?
Um, well, I mean, I took it as some kind of like party bus or or limo or something, big. Yeah, that's what I thought it was.
Okay.
Yeah,
hmm
yeah.
So then you see a woman that you remembered from your past that you didn't know that well, but you suddenly do know her.
Yeah.
So talk about her a little bit. What are the three adjectives you would use to describe her?
She was fair skinned. Um, she was very like thin, but she was very beautiful, and her hair was like brown, but it was just like really like kind of went up like this and back. And she just had a really nice bone structure. Like
And her
as far as
personality. hmm
personality,
hmm
um, mysterious maybe. Um, Something didn't feel good about her. Like she was not, she was just caught up in doing something that wasn't good for her, but she was doing it. I don't know how to explain that.
Okay. Oh, that's
Kind of
good.
just going along with whatever, but she was somehow, I don't know, part of it. It's so that's the big part. uh Yeah, and she was kind of surprised. She says, "Oh, I didn't know you do these things." And I'm like, "What things?" And I couldn't, because I wasn't sure if that was a bad ritual or a good, because I didn't remember. And that's why I
Mhm.
said, drugs, like cocaine, like what? Because I felt like it was someone I knew from a long, like from like maybe teenagers.
Okay.
Not that I did that stuff. I dabbled, but yeah.
And at that time, when you did that, when you were a teenager, did you feel like you were caught up doing something not good for you and going
And I
along?
didn't want to. Yeah. Yeah, I was
Okay.
doing it, but I wasn't really feeling good about it.
hmm
And it didn't last long, a couple months, and then I was like, I'm done.
Right. So that's exactly what she's representing and
Yeah,
why you
right.
responded that way to her, because that's a situation in your life where you were going along with something that
Yeah.
you didn't feel was really something you wanted to do.
Yeah.
And the ritual also represents going along with something that
Mhm.
you're not sure if it's good or if it's bad, but you're there and you're being a passive part of it, and you're not, you have your reservations, your
Yeah.
doubts.
Yeah.
So she goes into the vehicle waiting for her,
Yeah.
and you feel again, second time, urgency to go back home and check on your
Mhm.
husband. Now you say you expected that all along he was safe, so you really weren't as much worried about his safety. You just wanted to tell him what you discovered.
Well, that, and I felt like I just wanted to be back in safety because this all felt really creepy and
Mm-hmm.
weird, and I just wanted to get home
Mm-hmm.
and to get to him too. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And to tell him, yeah, what was going on.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And so as you're heading to your front door, some people drive up and start to go into the basement, but a different way.
Well, they were kind of looking for the entrance, and it was like my instinct was that like they were told that this was a, like, I don't know, after hours club or something like that. Like it looked like they were already inebriated and they were just going to the next spot, you know? And I think it was the entrance, the exit that I left. And so that was
Mhm.
like really close to my front end, which isn't normally how my house is at all, because
Mhm.
but yeah, it was the exit. It was very close. So I just, because I didn't want to deal with them, just wanted to get home. I just said, yeah, it's over there.
And it's important that it's not like your existing house, because anytime something is different in your take your current configuration and then you notice, oh, it's not like that. My basement was huge, or my door's not like that, or there was this other door. That is all very significant. And I really like that they are drunk and just bar hopping basically, and that you send them where you came out.
Yeah. And in a way, I felt a little bad about that because I knew that that wasn't a good place to be.
Right, but they were drunk or
Yeah.
inebriated, and
Yeah.
and you didn't want them following you.
Yes, that is true. I did not want them following me. That is true. I forgot about that part.
Yeah. And so I think that is all very significant, because they're people that they're followers, essentially. Much like maybe the people at the ritual, much like maybe what Cheryl represented, uh, alluding what to a time in your life when you may have held that role, and these people are all just following, looking for the next thing and not paying attention,
Mhm.
and you don't want them to go where you're going because you've left that behind. So you just say, that way,
Yeah.
so that they are behind you as well and not following you, so that you can leave those followers behind.
Mm, makes sense.
So next, you finally make it to your front door
Mhm.
and your husband's there,
Yeah.
but he's in a really bad state.
Mhm.
And he doesn't say anything about what happened to him. And it doesn't sound like you ask him either. Um, Explain that scene a little bit more, how it felt to be there at your front door.
Well, I walked in and I was inside with him and I just looked at him, and I think I told you in the thing he had shoulder surgery last year. Yeah. Um, so I actually, tomorrow is like the day he had shoulder surgery a year ago. But anyhow,
Okay.
yeah, so I just looked at him and he, like I said, he didn't look good. He looked bloody and no shirt, and he didn't say anything about him. It was just very quickly I looked at him and then he said, "Look what they did to Aries."
Mm-hmm.
And that was it. Like, and then I looked and I screamed, "No."
Right.
And uh, so yeah, I didn't really have a chance. It was like, look, walked in, looked at him, and then he said that. That's like the first things that came out of his mouth.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And your dog, I find it interesting that you said first that you turned around.
Yeah, so he's like, when you walk in my front door, it's a small landing and then there's this ledge right beside, and that's where he was. And my husband was on this side. Like just
Yes.
he was up on this ledge. Yeah.
And the ledge is significant also because what is a ledge like?
Like the edge.
The edge.
Yeah.
Yes. And so the dog's head was okay, and it was alive, and he had the toy in his mouth. Does he usually have a toy in his mouth?
Yeah.
Okay.
Very often.
The rest of him was not okay.
Well, yeah,
And
it was, yeah, like his just the
yeah.
neck, I don't know
Mm-hmm.
exactly, but the rest of him was in
Right.
pieces.
In pieces. Right. And so you felt that your husband had brought him there, but couldn't put him back together.
Yeah, like he tried to rescue him or
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
something.
Mm-hmm. So what I draw from that is that something has been fragmented,
Mhm.
something that you love, that you don't want to fall apart. And it may or may not be your relationship. It could simply be a relationship with yourself, that you see it is partly still alive, but also partly struggling to live. And I don't know that it's necessarily other people that are causing that harm necessarily, because you do speculate that maybe it was the people in the basement.
Mhm.
But I
Like,
think that,
look what they did. That's
yeah,
what he said. Yeah.
yeah. And I think if we look at the basement as a part of you and as a part of the depths of you, then
Mhm.
everyone that is in the basement is an aspect of you.
Right.
And that you may be concerned that you're causing harm, or you may be concerned that things are falling apart, and that you're looking for that security
Mm.
because
Mhm.
you want to get back home, and there's all that urgency to get back home so that you
Mm.
feel safe, and so that everything else is whole. And you're not sure if it was good or bad, but that you wanted to go check it out, but that you're not sure if you're being like your old self,
Mm.
the Cheryl, that
Yeah.
where you're doing something not good for you
Mm.
and just following along. And you're concerned that you have a deep concern that perhaps if you stay too long in your basement, that won't be good for you. And you realize that you need to you want, your instinct is to leave that to be safe.
Mm.
But as with everyone, there are things in their basement that they could do to get rid of. And so the fact that it's much larger than usual and that it has all of these couches and chairs and all these people and all these rooms and all this abstract things that are very bright, I think, as well as the presence of the other woman down there, I think that it's telling you it's okay to go into that basement, that you don't have to be afraid, and that there are things for you there that are just for you, and you don't need to follow the crowd that is going to get in the party bus and that is looking for the next club and that is following along with the event that you might not really resonate with.
Mhm.
So on that note, let's draw a card and see what we get.
Okay.
And just look at the imagery and see
Yeah.
what it,
A big long path. There's someone waving. There's a couple other people. There's trees off in the distance and a pasture. I'm waving to that person. If that's me, I guess.
mhm, mhm.
Yeah. There's sun rising or setting. I'm not sure. Yeah. Hmm.
So I would say that this is your chance to now embark on your own path.
Mhm.
Stop feeling like you need to follow what other people are doing.
Mhm.
Begin down your own path. Take your first step
Mhm.
down your own path. And you'll find that in doing so, you will be more authentic and more deep and be open to that new experience where you're not feeling inauthentic
Mhm.
and feeling not deep because you're following something that's not resonating with you.
Yeah. So everything you said, so this might shine some light on things. The trip that I did go on, it was very, very aligned.
Okay, good.
Um, and it's actually putting me into going on a journey, a path, and I keep getting this message of like I'm about to start an apprenticeship, and so when I come back home, it feels like I've changed, but things are still not kind of the same. But you know, when you're in a relationship, he's kind of doing his own thing, and he supports me, respects me, wants me to live, follow what I'm called to do. Um, but he's having his own struggles with
Sure.
his own personal stuff. And so there's been and then also just coming back and just I feel like I'm different, but I feel a little bit different, just being around the same things, but I am feeling confident and good about it all. It's just like an adjustment, I think, for myself.
Mhm.
Yeah. And I do wonder, is he going to be good? Is he going to, health wise and that kind of thing. So that, and then same with my dog, because he's
Yes,
got a few things going on too. So between the two of them,
sure.
it kind of weighs on me sometimes, but I obviously don't want to entertain negative thoughts, but they come up.
Mhm. Sure. You want to
Yeah.
feel secure enough about your base that you can go on
Yeah.
this new journey.
Yeah.
And that's what you need to take that first step. And
Mhm.
by meeting that woman in the basement that brought you such relief and that you felt such trust with, that is what you need to embrace. That's the message that is in your depths, is that
Yeah.
there is this reassuring, trusting familiar, smiling,
Yeah.
welcoming presence
Mhm.
that's going to be going with you on your journey.
Yeah. 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 You interpret it way different than I interpreted it. I like your version better.
Well, thank you.
Yeah. Yeah. No, but obviously you're the professional. And those old men were they just like, I can't save people kind of thing? Is that
No,
what?
I don't think it's other people that you're not saving. I think it's versions of you that
Oh,
when you are trapped in your darkness and
mm,
you're not feeling well and you're letting it overwhelm you and you're getting stuck there and you're not
mm.
going out of there
Oh,
on your path.
right, right. Not being able to like get up and leave
Hmm.
and walk out. Yeah. Okay, that
Yeah,
makes
they're weak because of they're overwhelmed by the basement.
yeah. Okay, that makes sense. Yeah.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
All right. Well, thank you so much for sharing your dream. And I
Oh,
hope
thank you.
you enjoyed my interpretation. And I
I
hope you
did.
do begin now and take your next step.
Oh yeah, I absolutely am. And it's amazing how like I'm just getting more and more confirmations that I'm starting something new
Yes.
and that kind of thing. So
Excellent.
it's another good confirmation. It definitely doesn't feel like a nightmare anymore.
Well,
Yeah.
that's transformation. That's
That,
good.
so is that what nightmares are all about? Is that they're
Yes. Because all of our dreams are, when we dream, our logical mind's turned off, but our emotional mind's turned on. And so all of our emotions are very strong when we're dreaming. And of course, nightmares have the strongest
yeah.
impact. And that's because the message is meant to get through. When we have recurring dreams, it's because we're not addressing what's that scenario, that situation, that story. And when we have nightmares, they're powerful and upsetting because they want us to hear the message.
Right. Okay, that makes sense.
And by understanding that message and unearthing what it's saying, we do dissolve it as a nightmare. We do learn that from the depths we come into the light. And that's why I call it the eclipse, because we're essentially walking into that darkness, but then here comes that little sliver of light, and it's coming more and more. And the more that we see what it's saying and what it means for us, and that there is hope and that there is a message, then the more the light starts to come to us and the more we allow the light in.
Right. Okay. Yeah, because I definitely interpreted everything at the end of was not good. When I screamed no and all of that. So
Mm-hmm.
yeah, so it's good to have a good spin on it.
Good.
Yeah.
Well,
Thank you.
yes, you're welcome very much. And thank you for sharing your dream so that we
Yeah.
could all benefit from it. Really
Yeah.
appreciate that.
My pleasure. Thank you.